I remember my parents and teachers telling me, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never harm you. They lied. As Miss D to thousands of kids, I help children resolve conflicts. And I'm here to tell you that words make a difference. The words we hear help shape how we think about ourselves, what we say to ourselves, our intentions, our actions, and therefore our outcomes. In the movie The Help, Abilene tries to boost the esteem of young May Mobley with words. She says to May, "You is kind, you is smart, you is important." May responds, "You is smart, you is kind, you is important." What appears to be a hiccup in the recitation is actually a very huge distinction. A popular interview question is, what would you say to a younger version of yourself? My response, you is smart, you is kind, you is important. Is you smart? I am a smart woman. It has taken me years of therapy and practice to be able to stand here and declare before you, I am a smart woman. I've always been considered smart. I could read full sentences at age 4, and I could write before I went to kindergarten. I'm an avid reader, and I love learning new things. I even skipped a full year in school. So why was it so hard for me to say I am smart? Could it be the words that I heard that harmed me? Let me tell you some of my experiences with words. As a second grader, I loved school. I loved learning. I loved the attention I got from adults when I spoke. I rarely missed school, so when my mother, a nurse, declared me sick and kept me home for the day, I wasn't happy. While I was at home, the class learned a new word, island, I-S-L-A-N-D. When I came back the next day, the teacher asked for a volunteer to read out loud. My hand shot up, as it usually did. I loved reading out loud, and I was good at it. She called on me, so I stepped up to read, and I started reading and came to the word island. I'd never seen the word before, so I quickly sounded it out in my head, and I pronounced it island. That got some snickers from some of the kids in class. But one little boy, James, jumped out of his seat, pointed at me, and said, "See, she isn't that smart. She doesn't know everything. She doesn't even know how to say the word island." I was confused and embarrassed. I decided then that people wouldn't like me if they thought I was too smart. So began my journey of never letting anyone know just how smart I was. I'd often know the answer or solution, but wouldn't give it. Instead, I'd grab a partner, share my idea with them, then present it as a collaborative effort. I even did this in business. This did not do well for my esteem. It left me feeling less than. I watched people not as smart as me progress and get ahead, and I didn't understand why. So I did what I do best. I read and I studied. I even wrote a book, Fear, the Real F Word. You see, what was showing up was the fear of not knowing enough and the fear of what my family and friends might say. These ideas left me feeling less than. But I learned to replace them, and therefore I was feeling better about myself. I know that I have the ability to learn and disseminate information. After all, I'm the information diva. Okay? And I help women look at the things that they are saying to themselves and ask you 3 questions. Is what you're saying true? Is it helpful? And does it support the woman you are trying to become? If not, you need to let it go and replace it with something else. You is smart. Is you kind? As a woman raised by Southern parents in a Christian home, I was taught to be kind. I was taught to say please and thank you. I was taught to say things that were nice. I was taught that if you couldn't say something nice, you shouldn't talk at all. I was taught to treat others as I wanted to be treated. After all, girls are made of sugar and spice and everything nice. But deep down, I was being challenged because the things that I said to myself weren't so kind. Things like, you're not as smart as you think you are. You're a fat, dark, ugly little girl. As I got older, added to that was, you are less than. Everybody else is smaller, smarter, and more successful than you. This really didn't make me feel well. Okay, so I was talking to a close friend of mine, my best friend Donna, and I was sharing with her that just a few days before that, 3 different women had introduced me as their best friend. And I was really perplexed, and I wondered, as I talked to her, why would they consider me their best friend when they weren't my best friend, she was. And she smiled and said, you're a good friend. Everybody knows that you're kind, you're fun to be with, and you're generous. I thought about what she was saying and decided I needed to be that kind of friend for myself. So, made a paradigm shift. I became important to me. I decided that my priorities would go from God, family, business to God, me, business. Ooh, that meant family went down to number 4. And my friends even lower than that. Okay. The response to that was quick because people were used to me making decisions and concessions in order to benefit them, and I was no longer willing to do that. Okay, so I decided that I had to be the important one. I encourage women to be sure that the top 3 things really are the top 3 things. And I encourage them to be sure that they are in that top 3. You is kind. Is you smart? Smart as in entitled to bigger consideration than others. You know, does that describe me? Wow. Wouldn't that make me pompous, proud? Wouldn't that make me conceited? Again, my Southern upbringing came in. I could hear my parents say, you ought not think so highly of yourself. Don't talk about yourself, let others talk about you. Being smart has its ups and downs as we're talking. I was aware that even when things were going well, I could hear sometimes that little boy James' voice in my head when I least expected. I know it carried over into my professional life. So I once asked a supervisor, I informed him rather, that I would be taking off 30 minutes early 2 days a week because my son had an activity. My question was, will you allow me to make the time up, or do I need to charge it to vacation time? His response was, you know, your kid doesn't have to be in everything. You're not rich, you're a state employee. Even entrepreneurship didn't save me from that. I was once preparing to speak at a reception at the South African Consulate General's home. I heard the familiar voice of a colleague, and I guess she was surprised to see me. What are you doing here? Oh, I'm the speaker for the evening. Well, how did you get to be the speaker for the evening? They invited me, I answered kind of questioningly. Why did they invite you to speak? Very heavy on the you. And I had no answer. Maybe she was right. Enter the fear of what if. What if she's right? What if I don't belong here? What if I don't know enough? That left me feeling angry. Why not me? And sad. What if she's really right? I don't belong. I help women to go forward being as authentic as they can be as we go on. In her poem, Our Deepest Fear, Marianne Williamson writes, "There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you." And as you heard India R. read tonight, just do you. You is smart. Excuse me, you is important. You're smart too, but you is important. Okay, so I stand here before you and proclaim, yes, I am the information diva. I know a lot of information. I help women demystify business principles and systems. I am a thought leader. I lead women over 50 to transition from employee to entrepreneur. I lead with intention. I am a successful, unstoppable, empowering woman who is changing the face of business. I is smart, I is kind, I is important.
Let's hear it for Miss Deborah Thorne.